This is the second tutorial on the subject of OpenProject. If you remember in the first tutorial video, we simply covered how to enter tasks and predecessors and the resources assigned to each task. In the second tutorial, we will actually open up the Sharon project as assigned in the class, and I will show it right here once it opens. It is loading, and OpenProject is capable of loading MS Project files and importing them, but once you make changes to them and save them using OpenProject, you can no longer use Microsoft Project on them, and you will have to use OpenProject to manipulate them from there on out. If you notice, what I've done is taken the Sharon project, and in this first area right here, let me hide this column first. I've identified all the tasks associated with the construction project, and you can see right here that all the predecessors are identified, the critical path is identified, and it carries out to the right here as we scroll and shows an end date of late January 2011 based on the start date that we loaded in of 2/15/2010. That's consistent with the project that we discussed. The next thing I did was to show this as a multiple project example, was duplicate the same project 2 additional times such that the same Sharon construction company is now going to be building 3 stadiums concurrently using the same crews of prime contractors and subcontractors. As I stated in my paper, the Sharon Construction Company we're going to assume is primarily an excavation team and a concrete team, meaning those are actually owned by the company along with the heavy machinery required to do those tasks, and therefore those are going to be the most critical to us to not have peaks and valleys in their workload and not have gaps in using the machinery and the manpower. The turf team, steel team, carpentry team, electrical team are going to be subcontracted, which means we can bring those in and out since they work for other construction companies and therefore can just be brought in and used to get their tasks done and then sent back out again. But as I said, the prime tasks, the prime contractors that work for Sharon Construction Company, we want to show them as scheduled and resource loaded. If you notice, the durations of all the tasks, the start dates, the finish dates, and all the predecessors are loaded, and the resource names have already been loaded on the same left-hand column that we used in the previous tutorial. So that's already done here previously. And I'll go back to the Gantt chart view. As you can see, you have a Gantt chart view. You have an activity on node view. You have the resource view. And then I'll get into more of the resource leveling views later. So what I did here, and let me shrink this a little bit so we can see more of it, is I showed the excavation team doing the work that they need to on the first project, but once they're done, then they automatically drop down and start working on site 2, clearing the site, excavating, draining the subsurface, fill the playing field. The same with the concrete team. You'll notice that when the concrete team is done with the first construction project, they immediately drop down to site 2 to complete the work. As a result, the heavy machinery and the excavation and concrete teams are always busy on one project after another. And by putting these on the same project plan, we can see how the resources are utilized and how the linkages are identified across multiple projects. What you'll see then is the excavation team on site 2 completes their work and then drops down to site 3 for the third part, the third construction site that's shown in this project plan. They complete the work there, and then they are completed with all 3 projects. You can also see that the second and third project, because there's overlap, do not take quite as much time as the first project. You can see that by looking at the total duration of the entire project plan. In addition, the red bars show the critical path, not just of individual projects, but what the critical path is to get all three done. And that will allow us later to identify tasks for crashing in the critical path in order to get the projects done early, or resource loading in the non-critical path in order to level our resources a little bit by moving around non-critical path tasks without changing the end date. That'll be it for the second tutorial, and we will move on to the third one. Thank you.